some people just have it.
Would it have
Well, you don't notice it too
cable?
much until somebody
Their
says,
sound?
"Are your ears ringing?" And they go, "Well, thanks. Yeah, now they are."
Should we go down Majestic?
Okay.
No, I think we ought to just
Well, we don't.
plow ahead. Just,
Well,
Picking up, Mike, that's for sure. Shut it off.
But you're not, there's nothing coming through the speaker. It is?
Oh, okay.
It's coming
So are
through
you
the
hearing
speaker?
us
Can you
now?
hear the-
I did a scientific thing, I shut it off and turned it back on.
If you can hear us, call.
yeah. Yeah, whoever called earlier and said they always
Okay.
only getting a buzz, call
That's the
again.
wrong chair. That's the wrong chair.
This is the wrong chair.
Hey Don, how are you today?
Boy, intermission didn't do him any good.
I was wondering why that seat was cooler.
Okay, folks out there in TV land, we were temporarily off and nobody could hear us, and so we now think we have it fixed, and so we will continue. We are at the point of a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the December 14th, 2015 regular meeting, Intercog Long-Range Transportation Plan, there's our phone call, River's Edge Sport and Fitness liquor license, including Class B beer, wine coolers, Class C native wine permit on premise, and Sunday sales February 3rd, 2016 through February 2nd, 2017.
Good, Blake?
Did we lose it again, or are we good to go?
Blake, we good? Good.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Grover, second by Dallenbach. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried.
River's Edge.
I don't know if we could,
So we are still on the air?
who was the name of the bar?
Okay.
Name of the,
For the license? River's Edge.
River's Edge, that's this park, part Oh. of Parks and Rec.
Okay, okay. I didn't hear that part.
Next on our agenda is to approve the claims, so I need a motion to approve the claims for payment that are
So
on
moved.
your Dropbox. Motion, was that Lanius?
No.
Oh, Holland. Second by Dallenbach. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Petitions from the public, oath of office for council members. So I'm assuming we are going up front. Robert Hill, Denny Vaughn, and Dustin Dallenbach for to be sworn into office.
You're not as afraid of us as Titan, are you?
No.
Don't you
Sure.
shut the audio off.
Well, it's
Some people might bite harder.
We're doing this all in one fell
Bite.
swoop.
We're going to do this
They
all
might
in
bite
one fell
harder.
swoop.
Might
I'm
bite
going to give you a copy, and then
You get a copy and say I do.
you're going to read it after me. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
I don't fall down coming down the steps, we're being good to go.
The good news is it's dry in here, so you stand a better chance than you would outside.
The mayor and I match.
Stand over here.
Might have gotten the memo, and I don't think Dustin did. Got the memo on our page.
No, no, no.
Ah,
Okay, we're gonna start this when I get to your name, just say your name, and then we'll continue what I have, okay? So it's I, state your name.
I, Stephen,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all duties of the position of City Council member,
discharge all duties of the position of the City Council member,
and state which one you're doing,
Ward 4,
in the City of Independence,
in the City of Independence,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law.
Okay. And then I will sign all, you want me to sign it and give you each one back to you and you can sign your own?
Sounds good.
Do you,
Can we get a picture?
do you need a picture?
Oh.
Do you want them each holding one again?
Just much more on this side.
Okay.
Let's get the mayor on.
On the end?
Moving the mayor away from you?
Hey.
Yeah, would you squat down so I don't look so good?
1, 2, 3, 1.
You got me out of that film range, that's good too. Oh, did you? I wouldn't put Next, resolutions. Resolution accepting work covering the 2015 street reconstruction project. I need a motion to approve it. That should have been in your packet also.
So moved.
Motion by Hill, seconded by Holland. Sorry, guys. So you got me all shook up.
I'll second since you already.
Okay, just get those names straight.
She's
for
still
me, Russ.
trying to figure out why I want to know about
And this
the
one I get a roll call.
appointments.
Lenia,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes,
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown's excused, Lehman.
Yes.
Okay. Next, a resolution adopting final assessment schedule for the 2015 street reconstruction project and amending, confirming, and levying the assessments.
In this resolution, they cover a lot of material, including Section 5, which will require you to set an interest rate for those assessments that are not paid up front. And the Public Works Committee the Public Works Committee did meet this afternoon and came up with a recommendation of 4% for the interest rate on the unpaid assessments. Our cost of money currently on this project was 1.92% average over the life of the bond, and the 4% is just over that. You have the legal right to go up to, at this point, 9.25%, because our cost of money is, I believe, at 0.25%, and you can go 9% over it. But the committee, again, did recommend 4%.
I think that's good. Prime is 3.5 right now, so. And this is what people will be charged for interest if they do the 10-year, 10 payments?
That's correct.
So it's not a floating rate or anything. It is a fixed rate
Right.
for them, regardless of what happens.
Right, and that's why generally you set it at
A little bit more.
something above where you're at currently, because over 10 years, that interest rate could change quite a lot. It hasn't over the last 5 or 6 years, but prior to that, you saw, much higher interest rates.
Okay.
Any further
I'll make
discussion?
a motion, I'll make a motion
I got
to
two of
accept it.
Does that
Okay.
mean I don't have to run next time?
No, you have to sign both and give one back. One's for you,
Oh.
one's for us.
Here, Ben.
Okay, we have a motion from Lenius to approve the resolution, second by Dallenbach. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes,
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown is excused, Holland,
Yes.
Lenia.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried.
I think one thing to point out here too, just doing a little math, the city's paying about 85% of the project and the citizens about 15%, so the city's paying the vast majority.
Yes.
This is for that project last year, right, the streets. Yeah. Which one's this?
They look pretty good. You choose.
Okay, next on the agenda. I mean, that was done. Resolution to approve fiscal year 17 5-year airport capital improvement program. Need a motion?
I have a question. I went through this a couple times, and this, to me, is it's a fairly significant thing that we do, the city's undertaking on this. And, going through the numbers, yeah, there's a lot of federal money in it, but I would like for this, if it's possible, to table it. I'd like to have us go through this in more detail as a complete council in a workshop or a work session.
Can I answer that?
Can we do that?
What we have to do is the government requires us to put together a 5-year capital improvement plan. What we sit down with the city, with the engineer for the airport and the airport committee, and we take a look at what do we think we're going to need down the road? This is not, we're not doing these projects as we come to those years, the council, if we decide to do the project that's listed for that particular year, at that point, the council will sit down and decide, do we want to spend this money? Is this the actual project we want to do that year? But this is basically what the airport manager, the airport engineer, city manager, and the airport committee look at what we may need. For example, one of the items we have on there is the taxiways. With doing the rental property for hangars, we have to widen one of the taxiways just to the west of where the property is, and then also on the south end of it. So that's what those items are. Those are, we're telling the government at this point in time, these are what we think we need to do down the road. We can change it. In fact, every year we basically put this list together and we take some things off, we add some things to it. But what we're doing tonight is we're basically telling the government, this is what we would like to do, this is our wish list. We may not have the money to do some of these projects. It all depends what the government, just because we list 90% for federal government doesn't mean they're going to have funding to fund that. We have to then submit those projects to the federal government. We have to submit them to the state of Iowa. They review it. For example, we were trying to get a grant for the camera system out at the airport. We thought it was well within the parameters of state grant. They came back and said, no, we don't have enough money this year. We're giving money to bigger airports for other projects, and so we didn't have the money to do the security camera system that we would have liked to have done out there this year. So that's kind of what this is. This is kind of our wish list, and we're not spending this money. If we decide to bring this proposal before the council, we'll go through that with a fine-tooth comb at that point.
The example that you have is in the fiscal 2017. If you take a look at that, there's a total of $169,100 for corporate hangar site utilities. There is no federal money proposed in that. That is only state and local money. Just as Bob was saying, if we put in an application, it has to come to the council for approval of the application, and that's a grant application, so it doesn't mean that it's automatic. The state still has to approve it before we have a project. You're looking at 2018 before we would have anything to do with a federal project, 2018 and 2019. And in fact, those are probably moved, on the federal projects, moved out to 19 and 20, but that's up in the air right now based on federal funding and where that goes as well. But right now, all you're doing is putting in your capital improvement plan for the airport. Here's your big picture. What do we see happening over the next 5 years? They require us to submit a 5-year plan every year. Not significantly different from last year, but again, we have to put a plan in there. It is not a done deal until the council approves the specific projects as we move ahead, just like our 10-year capital improvement plan.
Okay. One other question, Mayor.
You must have been snowed in today. No fishing for you.
No fishing today. I never had really understood that, the city is a big player in this. Why isn't the county? Why is not the county a player in this? Is there, I'm sure it's been asked before, but.
The county has been approached. The airport committee has approached the county to discuss a regional or a countywide airport authority. And there is a provision in state code that allows us to do that. At this point, the county is saying, why should we do it? You know, where's the trade-off? Where's the benefit for the county versus the city? All in discussion. It's a good discussion. The door is open. We just have to continue having that conversation. But there is a provision in state code that allows for this to take place with minimal effort. Now, there's a couple of other airport organization types that would take a petition from the public to transition into. That really wasn't what we were looking at, but that
So do
discussion.
you go to a commission then instead of just the council?
Right.
Then you'd go to like a county commission?
Correct. And that's been, again, proposed last fall to the county, and the county was open to discussing it with no commitment.
When you say the county, you're talking
The
about
county board.
the
County
supervisors?
supervisors, right.
One of the
But
problems.
if we're willing to do it, why wouldn't the supervisors say, I mean,
It's a question you may have to ask at their meeting.
Well,
well,
there's-
actually,
Why would they wanna throw any money at it?
yeah, why would they put any money into
Right,
it
that's the whole
if
point.
we're willing to do it?
Well, the issue with it is, number one, funding, and that is probably the biggest question. But the reason for it is by changing the form of governance, if you want to call it that, by going to a county commission, the county actually has representatives on the airport authority then helping with the governance of it. Those that contribute to the operation of the airport then have a say in the operation at the airport.
Yeah.
The strength of the commission is you get a broader range of representatives on the airport commission versus the public safety committee here at the
Right.
city and the city council.
Right.
We started this a couple of times, and it seems like that we had a really good response from the county board of supervisors, and then they had an election, and nobody wanted to make a commitment until after the election, and now we're kind of back to square one with them. But one of the things that we would like to see, and in fact, our engineering firm does have a gal on staff who has worked with other communities who have put together regional airports. Now, the time that regional airports tend to go over better is when you're building the airport initially. We probably should have looked at this about 15 years ago when we were first starting to make major expansion at the airport. What we would not only like to see is the county, but some of the bigger communities that also benefit, Fairbank, Jessup, Winthrop. A lot of times what happens with the board is the number of boards, you set the number of members on it, and then the communities, depending upon how much financial input you have, say we had 5, maybe the city would have 2, and then county might have 1, and the other communities might have 1. It's an idea that it would be very beneficial for the city. Obviously, it's kind of one of those issues, a little bit like the library. If we're supplying the services, then why would the small communities? And now we're seeing that the library put in a fee for residents of other communities, and we're getting more support from those communities because the residents can't use it. I don't know how that works with we'd like to do this as amicable. One of the things you do when you do a regional airport is then you put your money into it, and if you have 3 people that aren't on the city has to abide by how the board votes on what they want to do.
I don't know, it just seems to me like there's enough benefit that the county should be more involved. And again, I understand why they'd say no. I think it's a little bit like the swimming pool. The commitment that the county board of supervisors made to the swimming pool was, I mean, granted, we like it, but when you look at it in total, it's not very big for the benefit that this county, the people outside of the city limits get. And I don't know if we have to spend more time with the county, with the board of supervisors. on things like that benefit the county people. It just seems to me like we bear the brunt of the whole thing on the airport, the pool, the library, and that it should be shared more by the county.
One of my personal feelings is that I don't know it's is as much the county as in the past. I don't know the city has been willing to give up dictatorial rule over the airport. It's easier to, I think, influence one city council into doing things than it would be for a regional county board, and so I don't think the city really was too interested in doing it during the height of the construction. Now, one of the problems we're going to be seeing at the airport, and we've brought this up a number of times, is we went through this big building project over the last 10, 12 years, and now we're running into maintenance costs. And one thing that nobody brought up back when, we got to take that 90% federal money or they'll give it to Waverly, is in 10 years, you got to fix it. Yeah. And so one of the things we're going to have to address is more than even construction out there is we need to maintain, and those things are not covered by federal and state grants. That's going to be out of our pocket. And, those things were brought up, but 7, 8 years ago, all I heard was, we can't give up that 90%. Somebody else will get it.
There's always a devil in a detail on grants. They're not as great as what they seem sometimes.
The other thing is that this does have to be done before our calendar year ends. We need to get this into the DOT or the FAA or whatever, so that they at least know we have a plan. It's not something that's written in gold that we have to do it, like Bob said. We're not committing anything, but the plan does have to be submitted to them on an annual basis.
We're talking about our calendar year or a fiscal year.
December 30th is the,
Here we go again. And you know something? This is what happens every time. And I'm going to vote yes for this. But I tell you, we always do this. We have to make a decision like 2 days before. It's the same reason I asked you about the appointments for the light board. Why can't we ever do something a month? Or
Mike,
shoot.
This has been discussed prior.
Mike, this one
Well, I'm going to vote yes. I'm talking about another thing, Al.
I totally
This is what we've
understand.
done for the 2 years that I've been on the council, and I suspect before, is we throw stuff out and say, whoops, we got to vote on it. Or we lose the opportunity.
Well,
It's just a frustration that I have.
My goal is to give you as much time as we can. I thought this one had been taken care of. It's here tonight because I found it, and I accept that responsibility.
So we have 2 days.
I apologize for that.
We have 2 days. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
You're still gonna vote yes?
I'm going to vote yes because we're
I
really
still
talking.
even need a
We're talking
motion.
about we're talking about other things.
Okay.
The plan is
I
what
still
needs
need
to
a
be
motion
voted
to
on.
approve. Are you approving this, Mr. Grover?
What are you looking at?
Second?
I don't know what Austin's doing.
He's
Austin's
holding up his
approving.
name tag, so you know
Somebody
who he is.
second it?
Second. Exactly.
Second by Hill.
Holland.
Holland.
Holland. I'll get them right before I go along.
Hill.
Yes.
Fallenbach.
Yes.
Grover.
Yes.
Brown's excused. Holland.
Yes.
Lenius.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Next in the agenda is a motion to approve the Amperage Independence Municipal Swimming Pool Project Campaign Proposal Option Number 2. This is something you tabled at the last meeting. We discussed it at our workshop, and it was requested that we put it back on tonight's agenda.
It's for the pool. This is going to surprise you, but I got a question for this on this one too.
I'm shocked.
I wish ice fishing would start.
I went back and forth on the 2 options, because usually when there's, I think it was like a $14,000 difference. And the only thing that I could find was something to do with the videos. It looked like we got everything else.
That is the only difference.
So But we
Instead-
still, we get a short video now instead of a long video.
That's correct.
Actually, a short video is probably more than enough. I thought we even talked about not really needing it. Yeah, the necessity of one, but so that is the only difference.
That is the
just in the
difference.
videos, because everything else.
Correct.
Okay. So, should I just wait for you guys to guide us through this, or should I jump to a conclusion?
Both.
Please, John.
Both.
No, do we have to choose one alternative or the other? First, do we have to choose the company?
Oh, I would
So
just
we
make
really
the-
don't even choose one of the alternatives tonight?
Oh, yes, you do.
I would like to make the motion, we do the lower cost, amperage, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Amperage?
which was the option number 2 was the
Yeah,
lower.
that's
Yeah.
option number 2, the
Right.
47, I think after they do the donation.
Correct, 47,926.
48,000. So,
I'd make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Dallenbach. Any further discussion?
I
Roll
guess
call.
I would like to say why I made that motion, and that's simply because the current pool committee is down very few numbers, and I think they will now readily admit they're not prepared or skilled to go out and fundraise. And my personal feeling is that this group, it's an investment of about $48,000 toward between 500,000 and 750,000, which I have every reason to believe from recommendations on this group that they will be able to accomplish that with their organization and their knowledge and their skills. So that's why I guess I think the city needs, spend that money now or spend a great deal more money later on if we don't privately raise these funds.
Is this the group that's gonna take the money in increments?
Yes.
mhm. No,
39.
I agree 100% with you, Bob. I think we need to do this, and from looking at on their resume, if you will, or their package, a lot of the things they've accomplished, I think, speak well of them.
Okay, we
and I
do
think
have a
we
motion
need
and a
this.
second to approve the Amperage Independence Municipal Swimming Pool Project Campaign Proposal Option Number 2. Roll call.
Well, I think Denny made a good point. We don't have to pay $48,000 tomorrow. It's
Right.
over 24 months that we would pay this.
Correct.
Right.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to get that.
Okay,
Okay.
roll call. Go for it.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown is excused, Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, unanimous. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is approving the lease agreement between Buchanan County and the City of Independence for the, motion to approve the lease agreement between Buchanan County and the City of Independence for rent of 1,607 square feet of space in the annex located on the north side of Buchanan County Courthouse. And that was also on your Dropbox for that agreement to look at ahead of time.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by
Second.
Hill, second by Vaughn. I got the right people this time.
I would like to point out something here for the community, is this is something we're doing that we really need to take a look on a long-term study because, and I'm not very good at math, but by the time we're done with this lease, 3-year lease with the county, we're going to have paid the county $164,130 in rent, which could go a long ways toward something that's permanent and less expensive because this is gonna go up. And before this 3-year lease is done, we probably need to really seriously take a look at home base for the police department. But right now, we don't have any choices.
Because their current lease is up in 6 months, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Does this need a roll call? No, just a majority? Okay, I do have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. We are down to the reports. Any council committee reports other than what we've discussed? Council members. Start with you, Mr. Dallenbach.
Well, the snow's finally here. But all at once. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Okay. Mr. Grover.
Not a whole lot. Had a pretty good Christmas. I'd like to encourage everyone to drive safe over the course of the next couple days. It's going to be kind of vicious throughout the night tonight and probably into the early hours tomorrow morning.
Okay. Hopefully, Mr. Don actually got out of his driveway by now, 'cause that's why he's not here. Mr. Carter.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Back over to Mr. Holland.
I have nothing.
Almost said Hill again. Mr. Holland.
Yes.
Holland.
Switch spots.
You guys got the same bar?
Mr. Lennius,
No.
anything else you would like to share? Any
No,
questions?
no.
You're sure? We covered them all?
Well, I was gonna bring up the police station deal too, but Bob did a good job on letting everybody know, so,
Okay,
but
that's
I have
true.
nothing.
Thank you.
Time to go home.
I haven't asked for that approval yet, the motion yet. Nothing else?
I thought Al did a nice job. We had a couple of emails today about videos and minutes, and I do think we've had a very hectic 6 months or so here at City Hall, and we're all looking forward to getting things in much smoother, to get things posted timely. So appreciate your answering those questions.
I know.
Yes. Gina?
Just a couple comments. I know that it's kind of in the season where we have peddlers and solicitors coming to people's doors. If you guys have any questions, feel free to call up here when we're open or call over to the police department. You have the right to ask those peddlers or those solicitors to see their permit at any time that they are at your door, and just kind of a note in the code, it says they're not supposed to be selling after 7 o'clock, so if you know they're selling after 7 o'clock, then that call can go directly to the police department at that point. So just in case you have any questions about that, I know it's been happening, so that way you guys are kind of aware and have a heads up of what's going on.
Randy, do you have anything you would like to say?
Just one thing. As you all know, due to the inclement weather, the mayor proclaimed a snow emergency. So we do ask the residents, especially along the snow routes, remove your vehicles from the snow routes, allow the snow plows to get through, get those streets cleaned off. One thing that's always forgotten though, even though you may not live on a snow route, even you may be on one of the other side streets, give the opportunity for snow plows to go through as well. Unfortunately, sometimes the snow plows go through, they bury the car, and the car sits there for 4, 5, 6 days, and we eventually have to make contact with them. Neither one or two things is going to happen. Either remove the car or we have it towed. So to alleviate them any undue further stress, trying to get the vehicles removed off the street so the snow plows can get through. Thank you.
Al?
Just to remind everybody, we do have a snow emergency, and have a happy new year.
I also had a fantastic Christmas. I got the mother load because I got more presents than anybody else in the family. It pays to be the oldest. My tradition for New Year's is on midnight, I open my front door, let the old year out, and invite the new year in, and hopefully it's a better one. And ours has got to get better around here. Improvements from what we've had in the past year. So I now will ask for a motion for adjournment. Mr. Vaughn and Mr. Grover. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you.